A mother was mauled to death by a family dog which has never previously shown any signs of aggression. This is according to her partner. Kelly Riley, 33 years old, was discovered unresponsive in her flat in Coventry by her horrified partner, Noel Spring, shortly after midday yesterday. Now, paramedics ran to the scene, but she died a short time later. The dog is understood to be a bull mastiff. It was seized by officers. Now, Mr. Spring lives in the flat opposite Miss Riley. They've been in a relationship together. As I said, she was found unresponsive. Now, there is some mitigating circumstances around this. She had a history of seizures, and her family believes she may have collapsed shortly before she was set upon by the dog. The question is, why on earth would the dog act in this manner? Joining us now is Daniel Shaw, who's an animal behaviorist. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a really, really sad story, this. What are your thoughts about this? Because there's no past history. We've got this young lady, Kelly Riley. She clearly had epilepsy. It looks like she had a seizure and the dog turned.
Yeah, it's a really unusual situation. I think we're seeing a lot of these.
Strike number one. Strike number one, Daniel. I want to introduce animal behaviorist Daniel Shaw. This is not unusual, sir. This has happened several times. There are people in the comment section to this video right now talking about how they know people who's attacked by their dog during a seizure. Both documented by the news and personally. You can find confessions all over the internet. But let's continue.
Yeah, it's a really unusual situation. I think we're seeing a lot of these instances, and I think with some of these fatalities instances with dogs over the last couple of years, one core theme that we're seeing is they're often...
It's been going on a lot longer than the past couple of years.
Happening in the home. And it seems, from some of the data that I've seen, it seems to be a lot of these dogs seemingly getting very aroused, getting very overexcited, overstimulated by situations in the home, and that leading to them...
What?
Engaging in these sorts of behaviours, which is obviously...
What? Getting aroused? Listen, we don't know what the dog is doing inside the home right before the attack. We're not allowed to say, oh, it's getting excited and aroused. What is that supposed to mean anyways? Since when does being excited translate into launching an attack? Why are these two things synonymous only when it comes to dogs? Anything else said to be getting aroused or excited, you don't expect them to attack. I don't know where these people get off in thinking that this is acceptable to say that an attack happened because a creature was excited and aroused. What are you talking about? They don't say threatened, just excited. Do you know how many things can excite someone? But let's continue.
And it seems, from some of the data that I've seen, it seems to be a lot of these dogs seemingly getting very aroused, getting very overexcited, overstimulated by situations in the home, and that leading to them engaging in these sorts of behaviours, which is obviously causing great tragedies. And in this case, obviously, if we've got a lady having a seizure, perhaps that was something that, if this dog hadn't seen this before, I don't know whether this is something that the dog was prepared for and trained to deal with, whether this has caused some sort of distress for the dog and the dog ultimately panicking and then starting to become...
What is this distress? They seem to want to excuse these attacks simply because the dog was feeling distressed. Who cares about your distressed feelings? Again, that has nothing to do with an attack. If you're feeling distressed, walk away. That's an acceptable thing to do. If I start doing something that makes you uncomfortable, walk away. Don't they say, excuse me, don't they say that dogs will walk away when they, are not fond of a situation anyways? Just like people do. Don't tell me launching an attack is acceptable.
Dog ultimately panicking and then starting to become aggressive. So it's really hard to say why that might have happened. But I think, it comes down to the fact that obviously
he's basically saying, I don't know. He's saying, oh, I have no idea. He ain't the slightest clue.
We need to be making sure we're breeding and training dogs to ensure that they're not going to respond
No, buddy. How you gonna breed a dog to make sure it don't attack someone during a seizure? Now you're going off the deep end, buddy. What are you talking about? We don't know about this thing's breeding. Stop that. Accept it as a normal dog. Don't start assuming that it was bred wrong. You throw all your credibility out the window doing that.
This way if they are in unusual circumstances.
Well, it turns out that she hadn't had the dog for very long, just a couple of months. And as you say, of course,
No. That's 2 months of feeding. The dog had figured out after 2 months that this was its provider. It knew very well. Don't tell me 2 months is not long enough. Everything was hunky-dory before the attack. Oh, I had it for 2 months. And we're the best friends. All dog lovers would praise it. Say, yeah, great story. Nobody would question her on that. Oh, 2 months? That's not long enough. Please, get out of here. Get out of here. It's like you're dealing with kids, dealing with these people.
See someone having a seizure, it can be incredibly frightening. If you have a full tonic-clonic seizure where you obviously...
Are y'all seriously claiming that the dog is afraid? You really can't make this up.
Fit and you bite your tongue or wet yourself, or all of those things that go with a seizure. And as you say, the dog may have panicked. How does panic turn into a mauling?
I think that's where it comes down to how dogs respond in that fight-flight response. So if a dog is feeling under threat, they've got a few options, which is usually either to freeze, to fight, or to run away.
Now you want to say the thing felt threatened? Daniel, don't do this to yourself. Dogs are killers, and they're mutant killers. Once their instincts kick in, they're going to attack. As soon as you're perceived to be vulnerable, it doesn't matter how long you've had it or how well you think you know it. It's going to attack you. We've had plenty of examples throughout the years. You remember this? The high-pitched squeals that the grandmother made during this water bucket challenge. You remember this? How long the dog knew the grandmother was irrelevant. Once the dog's instincts kicked in, once it perceived her to be dying, vulnerable, right? You don't remember the sound she was making right before she was attacked? Okay.
Victim. Go ahead.
And a few seconds later, the dog latches onto her face, drags her to the ground. But it was as soon as she started making that noise, she sounded vulnerable, like she was dying, in pain, being stabbed already. That's why they say dogs like the squeaky toys. The squeaky sound mimics the sound of dying prey, like what this woman made. Once these things go into kill mode and those instincts switch, they attack. This dog wasn't afraid of her. This lady right here, that's about the equivalent of having a seizure. You know, you shaking and making noises. Sad stuff. And let me tell you something, Daniel. You still young. You got time to get out of this profession. Don't embarrass yourself like this. We're just everyday people.
Maybe that dog felt restricted in terms of not being able to run away. So those
It felt restricted because it couldn't run away. Well, y'all really going hard with this idea that it was afraid. Dogs tuck tail when they're afraid. Felt restricted. Oh, I'm so frightened by a person laying flat on the floor. You know, when you're laying flat on the floor, dogs view you as in a submissive position because that's what they do when they want to submit to other dogs. They lie flat. There's nothing about a person having a seizure that suggests that it was a threat to a dog. Stop this. But you're not going to stop because you're part of this fraudulent profession, and I guess you can't do nothing else. But he looks young. Dude, you need to get into something else. Get in accounting or something.
Things just kicked in. And then one of the challenges, which I think is a theme with sometimes with larger bully breeds generally, is when they are under stress, their default response is to grab onto something and to bite as a way of actually dealing with that panic.
Oh, do you know how bad you're making dogs sound right now? Once again, if I'm ever asked to explain why these things should be banned, I just play this tape. I just play everything that this guy is saying right here. That all you have to do is shake a little bit and the dog will feel afraid, frightened, and kill you, huh? Oh my goodness. Are you describing a pet right now? Something that will attack for any and everything, and there's nothing you can do to stop it? You know, that kind of pet? It's not a pet. These things are not pets.
Call that stress. So that might be a way that potentially developed, but of course it is speculation because I don't know
of course.
the facts of the situation.
There you go, buddy. You should have did that from the very beginning. Why would you go into a talk show or a news broadcast with speculation? It's because dog culture is desperate. That's why. Desperate. They probably made a bunch of other phone calls before they called you. Probably turned down. These so-called professionals, they're tired of being made mockery of by us. This is sad stuff, man. He just had to sit there and admit he's speculating.
Of course.
The facts of the situation.
So this was a bull mastiff dog. This is not a banned.
We got the facts of the situation. What are you talking about? She had a lot of seizures, and the dog clamped down onto her neck. It did it because instincts are paramount with these mutants. All training or whatever, how long it's known you, how many times you fed it, goes out the window. When you are perceived to be prey, vulnerable, whatever. During a seizure, you look like you're dying, like you're in pain. You look like you're in pain. Dogs go for the kill. They finish you off. That's an easy kill. You already look like you're dying. Dogs don't care about you like that. They don't care about other dogs like that, where they see you having a seizure and think, oh my goodness, and they don't get afraid. They see vulnerability and attack. Lord.
Breed, and of course we had a lot of talk and legislation about XL bully dogs, and under English law it's illegal to breed, sell or abandon dogs. It's a criminal offence to own one of those banned dogs without an exemption certificate. This was from February of this year, and those dogs must be kept on a lead and muzzled. So just in terms of that, you mentioned about the breeds. For those people, in terms of animal behaviour, and obviously they lived, this couple lived in separate flats, it appears, opposite each other. But again, do dogs respond differently if they're kept in smaller environments? So in a flat, you traditionally have less space than if you're in a, say, detached house with a garden.
What? Did they go there? Oh, yes, they did. Now they're saying the dog attacked her because the flat was too small. Oh, yes.
Dogs respond differently if they're kept in smaller environments. So in a flat, you traditionally have less space than if you're in a, say, detached house with a garden.
Yeah, I think there's certainly an element of when you're adopting a dog, and when you're thinking about what breed of dog you're adopting, you want to think about the environment that you can offer that dog. So if you've got a larger dog that's going to need a lot of exercise, that might need some outlets for some of their energy, then they may not be the most appropriate dog if you're living in the centre, you know, in a busy city centre or something like that. So definitely, I think there is an element of that, but I think also it's wouldn't be the only element, because if we're thinking about this panic behavior, if we're thinking about this dog that's responding to this seizure with ultimately responding with aggression, that's not necessarily just going to be triggered by the dog's environment. We also need to think about how that dog has been raised, the developmental experiences of that dog, which of course
it's been raised. See, all this stuff comes up only after the attack. Before the attack, they don't care about none of this stuff because they figure, oh, look, it hasn't attacked anyone, so it's perfect. It's reformed. It loves people now. Oh, it's learned to trust people again. Don't give me that. Now he's taking wild guesses. And what else did he say? Developmental experience.
Aggression, that's not necessarily just going to be triggered by the dog's environment. We also need to think about how that dog has been raised, the developmental experiences of that.
Developmental experiences. There you go. Being traumatized as a puppy. That talk again. When they always point towards early trauma as something that the dog can get over with care and love. And then as soon as it attacks, oh, it was the trauma. No. This is just what dogs do. Dude, seriously, I did a whole stream on these cases, and that's not all the cases. I had a dozen or more. It had to been, it feel like over a dozen cases I showed on one video. And that's not even all the cases. Okay, you just saw that dog latch onto that lady's face. That dog knew her. Did it look scared to you? No. It walked right up and latched onto her face. Don't talk to me about, oh, it doesn't have enough space. Get out of here. Oh, it's afraid.
Dog, which of course we don't know, given if that dog was adopted recently necessarily, and also how that dog was bred. So whether that dog's come from a responsible breeder that's got good breeding practices, ensuring there aren't dogs with a history.
Stop it. What do you want to do? You want to go slaughter? Let's go slaughter all the dogs that we don't know the breeding history of. You're not going to find that out. Like, listen to the things that they're pointing to, how it was bred. We don't know. So should we just trust them on uncertainty with millions of dogs? That would be stupid, right? So you're suggesting we just euthanize all of them? Like, what? They're all over the place. That's why I say they've fallen apart. Dog culture is falling apart right before us. Another thing, Daniel, I'm going to make this one public and see what the members have to say. Another thing, Daniel, I want to share with you a recent attack case where a 10-year-old girl here recently was bitten by a dog. And the injury is so bad that I cannot show it. But look at this. I can't show it. You see it's pixeled out? I'm going to share a link right now in the chat room. If you see it, I want you to click on it. What you're looking at here, you can see her hair here. This is her ear. Okay, you got a photo of the side of her head from the ear down. And what the picture shows is a hole in her neck. And when I say hole, I mean a hole, a real hole, puncture hole in her neck. Because that's what the dog targeted. Shout out to Paul in the building. You know, it's too bad we don't have many people up tonight. Sometimes we do. So we won't be getting that much input on this video. That's okay. I'll try to make sure I don't leave nothing out. But this is a very shocking image. I just shared the link in the chat room. The dog went after the neck, and they go after the neck because they want to kill. Okay, let's not play dumb. Are you trying to tell me that dogs don't know that that's the kill area, that that's how you go after the neck? We're playing dumb here. If it's just startled and just wants to bite on something, why don't it bite on something else? Why not bite the hand, the foot, a limb? Dogs know how to bite tails. They bite tails when they're playing. They play bite all the time. And again, since when does it make sense to launch an attack at something, you know, that seems out of control of itself? I'm not buying it. Nobody's buying it. And again, this was a recent story right here. So listen, y'all up against it. He's gotten up here and said, I don't know, basically. I don't know, but maybe it was this and maybe it was that. All we need to know is that when you have a seizure, they attack. It is clear at this point. This is the Google era. Use yours and type in dog attack seizure and search. Search, and you're going to find several cases. Several. It's not because these dumb things are afraid. My goodness. So I'm going to end it here and hopefully catch up with you all very soon.